morning, guys. Happy Thursday. I can't believe it's Thursday already. This is just ridiculous. Anyway, I thought I've just put some pictures up on my Instagram page for Throwback Thursday, and I thought I would do a part 2 of the English game because I put some pictures and videos up last Thursday for Throwback Thursday, so I thought I would do a part 2 today and talk a little bit about locations. So it seems like forever ago now. Obviously we've been on lockdown for a very long time and I haven't left the house, but normally I would work on film productions when I'm not writing, and I was very, very lucky to work on the English game and also to meet Julian Fellowes, who is the author of Downton Abbey and The English Game, and to hang out with him on set. It was really amazing. And I actually played the part of an angry mill worker. And as part of that, we filmed in, for my part, we actually filmed in 2 main locations. The first was an old mill near Burnley in Lancashire, but my relatives in real life who were from Todmorden and from Yorkshire, they actually used to work in mills doing the same job that I ended up getting trained for as part of this role, which was filmed at the mill in Haslingden or Burnley. So and I actually went to college in Blackburn as well, so it's a part of the world I'm quite familiar with. So one of the locations was at the mill. I got taught how to use the looms, and if you watch the English Game on Netflix, you will probably spot me in the different locations. And it was really, really cool working on the set on the mill, at the mill, and it was really cool because they had all these like signs up with all the real life rules from the 1800s. So I'll put a little picture up so you can just see some of the rules. But I love the rule about washing, and if you didn't wash on Monday mornings and Thursday mornings before work, then you could actually get fined 3 pence or 3D. So yeah, times were hard. But yeah, it's always really cool getting to go to different locations. And I spoke a little bit last week about what it was like working at the mill on the scenes there. But one of the other places I got to film was Arley Hall and Gardens in Cheshire, and it was a beautiful, we were so lucky with the weather. It was amazing, just kind of coming out of spring. There were lots of tulips around, the flowers were coming out, and it was a lovely hot kind of a summery day, but actually I think it was like springtime when we were filming. So because there were still some bluebells out and snowdrops, and the gardens were just coming back to life. But it's always really funny when you work on a production. So I normally take the train, or I travel the night before and I stay locally. I don't drive, I don't have a car. So I ended up catching the train to the local train station, and from there I got a taxi. And it's always funny because you're not allowed to say what you're working on. It's all kind of top secret. And so this house is actually open to the public, so it wasn't so bad. But sometimes some locations are like big country houses or places where the public aren't normally allowed to go, or it just seems like there's nothing there, and the taxi drivers wonder what you're up to, and you have to not tell them what you're working on and why you're going there. So sometimes I think they probably think you're like some rich person going to some fancy party at a big house, or that you're up to no good if it's a more like dodgy looking area and there's nothing else there. So it's always quite funny. I always quite enjoy those little taxi rides because you get to meet a local person and hear their accent, but also it's a very interesting interaction because normally taxi drivers are quite nosy and they want to know what you're up to, and if they start seeing all the film trucks, they want to know what's going on, like is there anyone famous there, and sometimes they kind of, I think they think like you're a little bit famous or something as well. So yeah, it's kind of like, it's always good fun because you kind of like not pretending, but you have to try and keep a low profile and keep stum about what's going on and not let things slip. But sometimes people think you know more than you actually do. So I know on some productions I've been on, we've been taken to set in cars with like dark windows, or on buses with like blacked out windows, and then people start taking pictures of you when you're getting off the bus or getting out of the car, and they're going, "Oh, who's that?" So yeah, it's always quite funny arriving at set. But for this particular location, at the Arley Hall and Gardens, I ended up taking the train, taking a taxi. These houses are normally kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it's always a bit of a weird place to take a taxi. I got dropped off, and all the crew buses were all there, all the little mobile homes with all the costume and makeup, all the different actors and actresses, they all have their own mobiles as well. And then you've obviously got like your porta potty cabins, toilets, catering on set and things like that. So and it's always really nice when you arrive at these kind of locations. In this case, the house was open in the morning, and the gardens were open to the public in the morning as well. And so just regular people were walking around and wondering what was going on and what we were working on. And I remember going into the gift shop, and the lady was like, I was trying to keep it quiet as well, because obviously they'd been told not to say what we were working on. So and then and I had a coloured badge on, I think, as well. So she's like, "Oh, you're with the crew, like, oh, this is one of the actresses," or something. So yeah, that was really funny, and I just had to kind of nod, even though I wasn't like this big actress in it or anything like that. So but obviously, because I wasn't allowed to say and she wasn't allowed to say, and I just had this like badge that identified me as part of the cast and crew. So, and I was in my regular clothes, just walking around because I was a little bit early. So, but it's always really good fun when you arrive on set, because you get to spend a lot of time in that location, and you also get to see parts that most people wouldn't get to see, and you spend so long just stood there or doing the same thing over and over again. You actually get to see different things that most people would just walk past and not really pay attention to. So I actually got to explore the gardens really, really well. I had a little bit of time, and it was beautiful walking around. And it was like one of the first sunny days of the year as well, like proper sunny. And the flowers are coming out, and there's a lovely little pond, and I think there was probably some frog spawn and things as well, and lots of beautiful box hedges. And I just remember walking around dreaming of my future home, and also just thinking about my books as well, and some of the stories and things. And you may notice when these books come out that some things seem a little bit familiar, or that you might remember me talking about them. So there is my Guy Fawkes Night Cozy Mystery Expecto Petroleum is actually set at a house I know very, very well, which is the home of Ian Fleming, who wrote James Bond and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And so the house itself in that book is actually based on that house, but there is a big part of the story that takes place in an orangery, and the orangery is full of butterflies and orchids and things. And the orangery is something I came up with while I was at Arley Hall filming The English Game. And I've always had this fascination with orangeries, and I would love to have one in my future home. And I don't know if it's because my father actually used to grow orchids and was very into butterflies as well, like when I was a child. So I don't know if it's partly because of that, but I've always just had this thing about orangeries, and the fact of like living in an old house, and the same one I worked on, Hetty Feather as well, another BBC series. That was a BBC series, and The English Game is for Netflix. But that was a lovely country house with an orangery as well. So I just think how amazing it would have been to live in those times, like maybe in like Victorian era or whatever it was, and to not have, like, we just take things like pineapple and oranges for granted today, and like bananas and things, but in the past these were not things that you could get. I mean, I still remember when kiwi fruit came in, I think like in the 70s, and it was such a like, ooh, kiwi fruit, and it was such a big like weird, like this weird thing. And like tin pineapple was the first time we started having like tin pineapple and cheese on like cocktail sticks with pineapple. It was a bit of an in thing. So it's funny how you just like, now we just take everything for granted, but actually we haven't always had access to those fruits and foods. And I imagine how it must have been when like to see a pineapple for the first time and to taste it. And people used to grow them in the orangery, and along with the oranges as well. You know, a pineapple could sell for hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Like, it was a lot of money just for being able to grow a pineapple. And so there's something like a little bit nostalgic, I think, that fascinates me, that has stuck with me from that. And so in my future dream house, when I eventually build it, I'm definitely going to have some kind of an orangery or some kind of a garden and grow my own that way. But in Expecto Petroleum, there is an orangery, and this all kind of stemmed from, I think this little seed was planted whilst I was walking around Arley Hall and Gardens, and it was lovely and warm in there. It wasn't a particularly fancy orangery, but just, you know, I was looking at the drain and the path, like what things they were growing. They had some beautiful... I forgot what it's called now, like bird of paradise, I think it is, the plant with the like a little red and orange beak. So they had lots of different tropical things growing in there, and some oranges and some limes as well. So Expecto Petroleum has an orangery in it with butterflies, and the idea came from while I was working on the English game, and there is probably going to be an orangery in the Great British Steak Off as well. So that's a big country house. So part of that house is actually based on Arley Hall. So yeah, little bits of inspiration. And I also love box hedges. I'm really into like having mazes and gardens, and you will see a lot of maze and box hedge in and all that kind of topiary, like all that while I was walking around the house and gardens on the English game. I was thinking about all these things and thinking about how to weave them into future books. So my Alice in Wonderland series, which is called, the first book is called On Borrowed Time. That will have lots of hedges and the Queen of Hearts, whose tarts were stolen. So yeah, hedges and box hedges and gardens will feature very heavily in On Borrowed Time. And also there is a big manor house and country garden and estate in the Great British Steak Off as well. So the Great British Steak Off is one of my movie set murders cozy mysteries. So yeah, lots of different things I was thinking about while I was on set of the English game. And the other really cool thing while I was working on that production is that the cast and crew were the same cast and crew the same crew that I worked with on Gentleman Jack previously, and so I knew them all really, really well. And again, some of my movie set murders characters are based partly and very loosely on just the love I have of that the crew that I worked with on Gentleman Jack and on the English game as well, because I knew them all really, really well, and it was so lovely to see them again and just like catching up with old friends really. And I obviously knew them, and we had really good catering as well, and like really nice food. So a lot of those things, a lot of those experiences will trickle down into my books subconsciously. Like, it's not something I plan to do, it just happens. And I'll talk a little bit more about some more things from behind the scenes, I think, next week. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about locations today and the influence that they have on me and my books. But yeah, it was a lovely production to work on. I actually worked on 3 productions at the same time. So I was filming, I'd already been filming Ackley Bridge, I think, in the day. And then I did a night shoot for one of these days. I did a night shoot off the back of Ackley Bridge. Then I went straight to the film set to do some takes for the English game. And I also was filming another series for Sky TV called Cobra at the same time. So I was playing a government minister. So I was actually playing 3 very different roles at the same time. And I ended up going back to back from one production to the next in different locations. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later as well. But just for now, I have put some pictures of the house and the gardens on my Instagram. So if you want to go and follow me on Instagram, you'll see them there. And I'll do another part 3, I think next Thursday. And I'm going to go off and do some writing now because tomorrow it's Free Book Friday. So I really need to get back into my book. So it's been a slow start on this one. I was originally planning to write Extra Shots is the one I'm writing at the moment. I was hoping to get it written in 15 days, and then I don't know, I had a little bit of a weird kind of a week mentally, I think, and I've actually ended up yesterday rewriting the entire chapter, which isn't something I normally do, but I think I just wasn't quite in the right mindset when I started it, and it ends up about 20,000 words, and that was just way too long, and it just was not, it didn't have the vibe I wanted it to have. So I think I've now got it, and kind of starting afresh again. So anyway, have a great day, and I will speak to you guys later. Bye.